Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Time Spiral Remastered draft. Now, flash flying when enters the battlefield, counter a spell, and put X11 counters on Draining Welk, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. That seems fun. Lavinia also seems mean with all the suspend spells in the format. I'm actually gonna take Lavinia. I am gonna force white-blue, I think. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with greater converted mana cost than the number of lands, so they can't cast non-creature suspended spells. And if they cast a spell and no mana was spent to cast it, counter that. That's just counter anything they suspend. You know what? We're gonna try it. Ooh, Old Border Wastes. I don't think that's actually good, but like for any reason that I should take this card, but it looks really sweet. I like the colorless mana symbol on it. See, Cloud Cedar, make a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. Think twice, Piracy Charm. Piracy Charm can actually kill stuff. There's a Temporal Isolation, which is probably the best removal spell that we can get access to right now. There's also Think Twice. I like Think Twice, but I'm going to take Temporal Isolation. And I think we're just going to go for like white-blue, maybe like aggro or something like that. Stormcloud Djinn, 5 mana 3/3. Bound in Silence, Momentary Blink, Dreamstalker, Drifter Ealdal. I'm gonna take Bound in Silence. The even a 3-mana pacifism is really good in this format. I don't know why. Like, I've seen this card go around multiple times, and yeah, I was laser focused drafting something else or forcing something else, but I don't know why that never clicked with me. That this card just completely shuts off one of the major mechanics in this format. Let's see. Joyer of the Gitu. The Griffin Guide. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 on its flying. When enchanted creature dies, get a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. That seems decent. Coral Trickster is an undercosted beater. Drifter Ealdal is an undercosted beater that you have to sink a bunch of mana into. There's Rebuff the Wicked, which we could use to protect our guys. This basically says counter target removal spell. I think Griffin Guide is the best value here, so I'm going to take Griffin Guide. Ah, yes. All slivers become vindicates. Seems good. I'm going to take Omro Scout. The Rebel Tutor is especially strong when you have Bound in Silence. Just being able to pay 4 mana and get like an Arachnus Web. I'm thinking of Arachnus Spinner, which is another pacifism that you can tutor out of your deck kind of effect. But Omro Scout can do the same thing with Bound in Silence. So it makes this card better than it already is. So we're going to take Omro Scout. Rift Marked Knight. There's a Judge Unworthy. There's also Wipe Away, which is strong. I really like Riftmarked Knight. Protection is one of those mechanics that like just can completely ruin an opponent's deck. If they happen to be the color that you have protection against, there's just nothing they can do. Its Suspend is a little bit suspect, because spending 3 mana and not getting a Knight until turn 6 is only going to be good if my opponent is white, though I guess in theory that gives me something to do against white decks. It's still a strong creature, so I'm going to take it. Just playing it as a 3-mana 2/2 is fine. It can be tutored out with Omro Scout. Carekeep is fun. Children of Corliss. We actually ran into several situations playing the mono red deck where like if your opponent leads on Children of Corliss, you have to spend a good removal spell to deal with it. I don't think it's better than Gorgon Recluse, though I think that's better in I mean, it's obviously a Madness card. I'm still going to take this. We're probably actually playing Rebels, and starting on turn 1 playing a 1-drop is probably fine. And then if your opponent has like a crazy burst turn, you can just gain all that life back. As long as the damage doesn't kill you in one shot, you should be fine. Knight of Circe is an excellent card for the white deck. It gives you something to do on turn 1. It comes down in a reasonable amount of time, and it's kind of a difficult body to deal with because it has flying and flanking. Stronghold Rats is very strong, but I don't think I'm actually going to be playing black at this point in time. So we'll take the Knight. I like Mana Tithe. Like, I really like Mana Tithe. I think Calciform Pools is probably the card I should actually take. Yeah, Mana Tithe is a common. We'll probably see at least one more. I'm going to take Calciform Pools. You never know. It could help us cast something like an Ivory Giant. Playing mono white or white blue, we're going to, in theory, run out of things to do with our mana. Blade of the Sixth Pride is strong. It is a rebel, so it can be tutored out, and it does come down early and be very aggressive. I want to take Think Twice, but probably Blade of the Sixth Pride is where I should be. Yeah, I'm going to take Momentary Blink. There's potentially some tricks we can have access to. I don't know if I'm going to play it outright, but if we get like a Flicker Wisp, having Momentary Blink can make Flicker Wisp incredibly strong. I guess I'll take Drifter, but I could take Blight Speaker, and we could actually try and go Rebels, maybe. That's probably correct. Yeah, I'll take Blight Speaker, but we'll see if I'm actually going to be Rebels or not. If that's the case, I don't think a second Children of Corliss is correct. I'll take Gorgon Recluse. I don't know if I'm playing black or if I'm playing blue, and we'll wait for the next pack to actually make that determination. We'll take the one card that's theoretically playable. Alright. Well, if I want a rare draft, I can take Leyline of the Void, because I think that card's actually worth something. I like the old border. I love the old black border, and if you've ever seen the old black border in foil, it's so pretty. I have a foil Ostracize from some set that has this border, and it's such a pretty card. Like, in paper, I actually have the card. Jaya Ballard is super strong. Amro Seekers is good. Assassinate is good. Sunlance is undercosted and very strong. So is Ickerslick. Because Ickerslick has like several different layers of usability. I think taking Amro Seekers or Sunlance is correct. And I'm going to take Sunlance just because the potential tempo advantage here is super strong. If I play against a white deck, obviously Sunlance is going to be very minimally useful. But yeah, I'm going to take the Sunlance. Gray Merchant of Asphodel. I would have to go a lot heavier black to make this card good, but that could be worth it, because this guy is a huge life total swing, and if we're aggressive up until that point, yeah, alright, we'll do it. Take Gray Merchant for the top end. Master of the Pearl Trident. Stonehorn Dignitary? Oh man, okay, hang on. Let me make sure Master of the Pearl Trident is not, super expensive. It is not. It is incredibly worth nothing. 4C is a great spell in this limited format, by the way. It's an incredible reload. But I'm going to take Stonehorn Dignitary. This card is hilarious, especially with Momentary Blink. This is like the Blink creature, right? As your opponent skips their next combat phase, which in limited is effectively like almost your opponent skips their next turn. But we have a Momentary Blink, we can splash blue, and we'll have Stonehorn Dignitary. Oh my gosh, I love this format. It's just like the stupidest stuff is legal. Another Sunlance seems great. Just cheap removal in this format is incredibly powerful. Oh, Ninja of the Deep Hours. There's also Snapback, but Ninja of the Deep Hours is very, very strong. Just getting in and drawing an extra card, replaying a card that didn't get blocked, that sort of thing. Maybe I am white-blue here. It's definitely open. So there's Outrider and Core. So 3 mana 2/2 flanker. That the next 1 damage that would be dealt to it is dealt to another target creature you control instead. If I'm going white-blue, Aeon Chronicler is potentially strong. The problem is it's just very slow, and we're probably playing a more tempo-oriented deck. I might take Shade of Trocare. This card is good early, and it synergizes well with Ninja of the Deep Hours because your opponent is going to hesitate about blocking this card. Lotus Bloom. Love Lotus Bloom. I don't think it's playable in this deck. It is technically fixing. Would I play Bewilder or Veiling Oddity? Probably not. I don't think I would play Gorgon Recluse, Massive Ghouls, or Pitkeeper unless I'm going heavy black for Gray Merchant. And blue at this point seems a lot more interesting. I'll take the Lotus Bloom. I don't think I'm playing it, though. We'll see. Pongify, turning a creature into an ape. That is actually a hilarious way. This card is deceptively strong, because if your opponent plays an incredibly powerful creature, you can just say, no, you have a 3/3 instead. But you can also upgrade your small creatures into 3/3s, or if you have a creature that's indestructible, or anything like that, Pongify becomes more interesting. Or if you have a creature that has a great death trigger. I could use it on something that has been Griffin guided, but other than that, I don't think it's probably better than a Primal Plasma. I'm going to take the Pongify, and we'll see if I end up playing it. Okay, we've come all the way around. I can take Chromatic Star for fixing, which if I'm going to go 3 colors is definitely the correct choice. Alternatively, I can take another Calciform Pools, an Amro Seekers, or a Piracy Charm. And honestly, I think between Amro Seekers, Chromatic Star, and Piracy Charm, all of those are fine. Piracy Charm is one of those things that's deceptively strong late game. I think I take Amro Seekers just because it has Intimidate, which synergizes with Ninja of the Deep Hours, so I'm going to go that way. Okay. I think I want to stay away from double blue cards. I love smallpox, but I don't think I can get it to work in limited. Maybe if I can get a Flagstones of Trocare or two, and we draft like 5 smallpoxes, but that's unlikely. I'm gonna take Spiketail Drakeling, though double blue cards I don't think are gonna be good for us. I can take another Momentary Blink because we have Stonehorn Dignitary, and that's hilarious. I do want a Mana Tithe if I can get it, but Careful Consideration is strong. It's effectively a divination if it's cast in your main phase. I'm going to take Piracy Charm, though. Just another cheap spell that's pretty effective. And I don't think I'm playing black, despite having Grey Merchant, which is absolutely a reason to play black. Now, if I had first picked Grey Merchant, I would have drafted Mono Black, 100%. Snapback is fine. This card, I've actually played this in Constructed Modern. It's rare, but free spells, no matter how narrow the effect, are something you always have to evaluate carefully. And this, even just as a 2-mana unsummon, is kind of an undercosted removal spell in this format. Because if you've seen, like, when your other options for unsummon are wipe away, like, 2 mana for an unsummon is great, especially when your opponent paid 3 mana and waited 4 turns for, you know, or 2 mana and 5 turns for an Errant Ephemeron or whatever. Just 2 mana unsummon is a super powerful effect. It's not a super powerful effect if your opponent goes 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, but hopefully I kind of made my point. I kind of blundered through that in most of my explanation here. I'm probably not going to play this Lotus Bloom unless I get... oh my gosh, we got the Flicker Wisp. There's also a Vesuvan Shapeshifter. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's no way we don't take Flicker Wisp. We have Stonehorn Dignitary. Yeah, Flicker Wisp is the pick. Containment Priest! Let's just play Hate the Opponent's deck. Let's do it. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and wasn't cast, exile it instead. So this doesn't hit suspended cards. This is just a Flash Bear, I think. If that's the case, I think I take Mind Sensor because it flies. If I'm doing actually Stonehorn Dignitary loop nonsense, I think I take Mind Sensor just to have flyers that attack. Temporal Isolation would be great as well, but there's not a lot of reanimation in this form. Oh, no, because Madness is still cast. So yeah, I don't know what that card actually hits. I think it's just in there for old border nonsense. Alright, final pack. Gauntlet of Power? Oh my gosh, it's just an Anthem, though. Like, I could just name white and all my guys would be bigger. Whenever a basic land is tapped for the chosen color... I'm taking Gauntlet of Power. I think a 5-mana Anthem is actually playable in this deck, and this would be hilarious if we get any X spell at all. I'm taking Gauntlet of Power. I don't know if I'm actually going to play it yet, but it's exciting to me. Let's see. I don't think I want a second Snapback. I don't think I want Shade of Trocare or Sidewinder Sliver. Nether Trader is not worth anything, is it? It was for a bit. Though I think that may have only been in paper. Yeah, it's not worth anything. I'm gonna go with the Shade. No, I'm gonna go with the Sidewinder Sliver. Another Sunlance. Dormant Sliver. And just absolutely hate out anyone who's playing Slivers. Sunlance number 3 or Errant Doomsayers here is correct. I'm gonna take the Sunlance. I just think this card... I think Sunlance is actually legitimately good in this format. Rift Watcher is a great card in this deck because we have a lot of flickering. I'm not a huge fan of Delay. Fortify is good because we are a aggressive deck, but Rift Watcher I think is the pick here. Errant Doomsayers is great. Yeah, definitely taking an Errant Doomsayers here. All right. There's a Boom and Bust. Oh, man. Let's see. I think we take Return to Dust just to have it as a potential sideboard card. Actually, Shade of Trocare with Gauntlet of Power is hilarious. I'm taking Shade of Trocare. Yeah, I'll take another one. We're not mycologist. We're not going to be playing fungi, I don't think. Castle Raptors is good. I've actually run into problems trying to answer this card several times. Yeah, I think we're on a very light blue splash for Ninja of the Deep Hours and Lavinia. Yeah, I'll take another Castle Raptors. I don't think Paradise Plume is necessary. I'll take another Shade. I don't know if I'm playing 4 Shades, but With Gauntlet of Power, they become incredibly strong. And if we're basically mono-white, Gauntlet of Power becomes very worth it, I'll say. Bewilder in the sideboard. Seal of Primordial. I'll take a Stronghold Rats for the sideboard. We're probably not playing Lotus Bloom. Sarcomite Mirror. It's technically in our colors, but I don't know if we're playing Sarcomite Mirror. Okay, let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. Group creatures separate. So I'm fine with this very light blue splash. We could actually play Lavinia out of the sideboard, potentially. But I think she's strong enough, and I think Suspend is such a universal mechanic in this format that it's actually going to be good. I'm cutting one shade, because I think 3 is probably the limit. They are not good in multiples, usually, so let's keep that in mind. Griffin Guide grants flying. That is very tough to say. Bound in Silence is good enough. We're going to drop Sidewinder Sliver. What is our worst 3-drop? Isn't Mind Sensor a Rebel? I keep thinking Mind Sensor is a Rebel. Alright, I'm going to cut Children of Corliss, 1 Sunlance, and 1 more Shade. And we're going to try running it like this. We have access to more of whatever removal we think is going to be better. I'm going to go up to 3 Islands and a Calciform Pools. This is bad because of Gauntlet of Power not making as much mana, and Shade of Trocaire, like having just regular islands is not great, but we need at least that many blue sources to make our blue splash work, and I do think it is actually worth playing that blue splash, so I will see you all in round 1. I think this hand is decent. We'll be on the draw for round 1. If we draw blue mana, we have Ninja. We have removal and an aggressive 2-drop. Opponent did mulligan to 6, which is good news for us. They are also playing white, though, which means Sunlance is probably pretty bad. Start Plains, pass the turn. Okay, they're not exclusively playing white, though. Opponent plays a Blade of the Sixth Pride. We'll play our own Blade of the Sixth Pride. Pass the turn. Premature Burial. Alright, opponent hits this for 3. We untap, draw Plains. I'm going to pass the turn and flash in Mind Sensor. I may actually trade with it, depending on what my opponent does here. They play a Banalish Cavalry. Okay. They then attack. Yeah. I think this is worth trading. We untap, draw Plains, play a Plains. Play Flicker Wisp. We're going to do some mana denial shenanigans. This will be fun. So the plan is to flicker one of our own lands, and then on our end step, momentary blink Flicker Wisp and take my opponent's swamp from them. So pass to our end step, get back our Plains, momentarily blink Flicker Wisp, take swamp. Okay, opponent untaps. They're missing a land drop. We go to 15. They get back their swamp. We untap and draw Castle Raptors. I would like to draw land so I can start playing out my expensive flyers. Opponent has stopped on our main phase for some reason. Alright, go to combat. Hit them for 3. They go to 17, pass the turn. Opponent plays Mycologist. So we delayed them a turn on Mycologist by taking their land. In theory. We didn't if they drew that card this turn, but I think it's fine. Go to combat. Hit them for 2. Or hit them for 3, excuse me. Play an Omro Seekers. Pass the turn. Definitely siding out Sunlance in this matchup. That's for sure. Till I start seeing black creature cards en masse. Opponent finally makes it to their 3rd land on turn 7. They play a Deep Cavern Imp. Attack us for 4. Okay. We untap. We draw a momentary blink. Sunlance the Imp. Go to combat. Attack them for 5. Hit them to 9. I am going to deny them mana again, I think. Okay. Opponent untaps. Gets a spore counter. They play a swamp. It may have technically been better to stop my opponent's cavalry from attacking, but we'll see. If they don't play a spell, then I think I made the right choice. Alright, no blocks. We go to 7. Opponent has a Bound in Silence. We untap. Draw planes. Play a planes. Go to combat. Attack them for 2. Hit them to 7. Play Castle Raptors. That should stop them from attacking. Unless they have another removal spell. If they just have removal spells for the rest of the game, we're in trouble. They play their 5th mana. They make a Saproling into a Stormfront Riders. Double gating. Whenever Stormfront Riders or another creature is returned to your hand from the battlefield, make a 1/1 soldier token. Okay. We untap and draw planes. Play a planes. This has flying. Go to combat. Attack for 3 in the air. Offer the trade. So the plan is, if my opponent doesn't trade, we play Castle Raptors, we draw blue mana, we Flicker Wisp, take their only flying blocker, and kill them in the air. That is the plan as we're drawing it up. Pass the turn. So opponent can replay their Banalish Cavalry and Mycologist. They may have other cards to play this turn, though. There's Mycologist. There's Rothy Trapper. Okay, blue mana this turn and we win. If not, we have to deal with Rothy Trapper. Opponent is thinking about attacking. Oh, we could also draw Bound in Silence. That would work. Not blue mana. Okay, knowing what we know now, what do? I think we have to attack. Opponent has to block. They'll go down to 1. But then they have to play very safe for the rest of the game. We do only have 1 blocker, and we will be taking at least 2 damage next turn. Opponent can keep one of our Castle Raptors tapped down for the rest of the game with Rothy Trapper. So we still need to draw, I think, blue mana to win. Yeah, because if we don't do this, opponent can, on our end step, tap with Trapper, and then untap, tap with Trapper, and then swing lethal. So we have to force the trade here, even though it's not necessarily a good trade for us. I'm going to hold this planes in hand, make them think I got something. Okay, opponent untaps. They play Omro Scout, the cavalry, I imagine. Yep. Okay, I think we can win if we get Momentary Blink, but that's it. We untap, draw Sunlance. That is going to be too late. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 1 blocker. So Sunlance, they tap Raptors. If they have removal for Omro Seekers, we lose. If they have Anthem or 1 extra damage anywhere, we lose. But if they don't, Castle Raptors should be able to get in for lethal. No, yes. Even though they gain life, they can gain life off of Mycologist. The problem is if they have another Bound in Silence. We could draw Stonehorn Dignitary. That would delay for a turn. Okay, Blight Speaker is not lethal, thankfully. Opponent attacks for quite a bit. We'll block a soldier because it's free. Take 4. And they have to have removal for Castle Raptors or they lose? Awesome. I am going to add 1 more island to this deck. It's not great, given the number of things that we have that require explicitly white mana. We're going to have an opener with like all islands, and it's going to be terrible, but... I mean, I could drop a Sunlance for a Piracy Charm. They do have several X1s, and they have a lot more white creatures than black, but I didn't do it fast enough. So game 2, what are we dealing with here? Both colors of mana I'm good with. We can start Suspend Shade. We'll have Sunlance, we'll have Scout on turn 2. We can Griffin Guide something. Opponent leads on planes, so will we. Suspend Shade of Trocaire, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. We untap, Shade ticking down. We draw Ninja. Play a Plains, play the Scout. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. Okay, Premature Burial on Omro Scout. We draw Castle Raptors. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. Can't play anything yet. Hopefully we can get in with this Ninja. If my opponent plays a black creature here, we can Sunlance it and get in. Draw an extra card. Start gaining some advantage. I really don't want to hardcast Ninja if I can avoid it. Okay, opponent plays a Pallid Mycoderm. Cast the Shade. We draw planes. So if I pump this 3 times, it'll kill the Mycoderm. So what I'm going to do is play an island, go to combat, attack. Opponent shouldn't block this. Cool. Ninjutsu. We get to draw. Aven Riftwatcher. Okay. Resuspend Shade. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. So next turn, if we want to keep drawing cards and my opponent hasn't specifically arrested or killed this ninja, we can Griffin Guide it. Okay, well, they arrested it. They hit us for 2. We untap. Shade ticking down. Play a Plains. Play Lavinia. Play Riftwatcher. Gain some life. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent puts a Spore counter on Mycoderm. Opponent plays Chromatic Star. And a Banalish Cavalry. Okay. No attacks. Vanishing Trigger. Shade of Trocaire. We get Momentary Blink. I like Momentary Blink here. So let's go to combat. Attack them for 2 in the air. We can blink this Aven Riftwatcher before it dies to gain like 6 more life than we normally would. 4 more life than we normally would. But I'm going to start by blinking Ninja of the Deep Hours to get that Bound in Silence to fall off. Okay. Opponent gets a counter from Pallid Mycoderm. Plays a land. Goes to combat and attacks. Okay. Well, we're not scared, so take the damage. We take 4, go to 16. They make a Saproling. They cycle for white to draw a card. They play Grave Scrabbler full price. And that's what they got. Okay, so we'll blink the ninja. Okay. Untap. Vanishing Trigger. Shade of Trocaire enters the battlefield and has haste. We draw Blade of the Sixth Pride. So let's Sunlance Grave Scrabbler. Griffin Guide the ninja so it can't be blocked and we're guaranteed a card draw. Go to combat and swing with the team. Okay, no blocks. I'm not going to pump. We draw Gauntlet of Power. That might be overkill at this point. Opponent untaps, gets a Spore counter. I mean, as long as they don't have like some crazy overrun spell, I think we've got them. Opponent attacks us for 5. I suppose they could also have a Wrath. Like Damnation. White Main Lion. Picking up Cavalry. Replay Cavalry. We untap. Now the question now is, do we want to blink to save this Aven Riftwatcher? The alternative is playing Castle Raptors. My opponent is still dead to a Ninja of the Deep Hours. Not this turn, but next. I think the blink is more life for us over the Castle Raptors, even though the Raptors is more resilient. So I'm going to go with this. This gains us 2 life when it leaves and 2 life when it enters again. And then 2 life when it eventually leaves again. And we can just leave it back on defense. I think that's fine. We draw an Errant Doomsayers, go to combat, and the game's over. Opponent can't beat that. Nice! Yeah, we got some Flicker shenanigans. Flicker Wisp did work. Ninja the Deep Hours. That was basically everything we wanted. And our Sunlances weren't even that bad versus a mostly white deck. We still hit like the critical cards with Sunlances, so I'll see you guys in round 2. Alrighty, we will be on the play for game 2. Well, we have no action, but we have both colors of mana and a Gauntlet of Power. Keeping this is a mistake, but I'm gonna keep it. Alright, we'll lead on the plains, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a swamp. Oh, it's like just like we drew it up. Play Blade of the Sixth Pride. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest. Passes. We draw an Amro Seekers. Go to combat. Attack for 3. Hit our opponent for 7, or hit our opponent down to 17, not for 17. Then play Amro Seekers. Pass the turn. So yeah, if you just keep a hand of all lands and then just draw a 2-drop, a 3-drop, as necessary, you'll just win. Alright, opponent has 3 colors and they play a Thallid Germinator. We untap. We draw a Griffin Guide. Play a Plains. Play Griffin Guide. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. Down to 12. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, gets a Spore counter. Plays a forest. Goes to combat. Attacks us for 2. We take 2. Go to 18. And they're going to Ichor Slick. We can't Momentary Blink. So we get a 2/2 white Griffin token with flying. Untap. We draw Plains. Play a Plains. Play Gauntlet of Power. Choose white. Go to combat. Hit our opponent for 3. Take them to 9. We have doubled our mana. Opponent plays an Imperiosaur. Hits us for 2. We untap and draw Plains. Play Plains. Go to combat. Hit our opponent for 3. Unfortunately, Momentary Blink is not good when cast on a token creature you control. Opponent plays a Swamp. They go to combat. Attack us for 7. We go to 9. And they have another Ichor Slick. Okay. That's pretty bad for us. We gotta draw something. They play a Morph. So, put a storage counter on. We untap. And we draw nothing. Alright. Opponent had 3 good removal spells, and we got lucky anyway. Opponent is playing Gathan Raiders. I think this is time to bring in Sunlance. And I'm probably going to go down... Oh, what am I going to go down here? I could go down a Momentary Blink. I'm going to actually drop the Tapper, I think. Because my opponent seemed to have some fairly large creatures. I'll play first. Okay, I will keep this. So start by suspending Shade of Trocare, pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest. Suspends a Dirkwood Baloth. We untap, Shade ticks down. We draw a Griffin Guide. Play a Plains. Pass the turn. The cool news is Riftmark Knight is protected from Abrupt Decay and Ichor Slick. I am just going to cast it because I do want to suit it up with Griffin Guide as soon as possible. Protection from black is... I think it matters a lot here. Okay. Opponent untaps, Dirkwood Baloth ticking down to 3. Opponent plays an island. Plays a Morph, which is probably Gathan Raiders. Shade of Trocare coming off Suspend. We draw another Plains. Play a Plains. Sunlance. Yep, it is Gathan Raiders. So, Griffin Guide on the Knight. Go to combat, and we'll hit them for 5. Okay, opponent goes down to 15. Dirkwood Baloth ticking down to 2. Opponent Premature Burials, Shade of Trocare. We untap. Draw another Sunlance. Play an island. Go to combat. Hit our opponent for 4. Take them to 11. Play Amro Seekers. Pass the turn. Well, anything they play smaller than that Baloth, we can probably hit with this Sunlance. They Harmonize. And they Scoop. They can't beat the powered up Knight with protection from their removal. I think I'm just going to run it back as is, too. I could actually play Pongify here because they do have so much removal. I could Pongify my own creature to still get something out of the deal. In that way, it kind of functions as a momentary blink. But as long as my opponent... Like, if we get a decent hand with something worth blinking, we can wait until we can blink it before playing it to get around at least one removal spell. Okay, I think this is good. So we will keep this hand. Opponent starts Forest. We draw Griffin Guide again. Suspend Shade of Trocaire, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an island, so no Abrupt Decay on turn 2. Shade of Trocaire ticks down to 2. We draw Calciform Pools. Play Plains. Play Blade of the Sixth Pride. Pass the turn. So if my opponent plays a swamp, they'll probably play Ichor Slick, killing the Blade here. They have a Thallid Germinator, okay. Shade of Trocaire ticking down to 1. I'm playing out my Plains because I want the ability to make that shade as big as possible for the turn it comes in. I want to try and force my opponent to block or threaten the most damage that I can. So we'll hit them for 5 in the air. Put them on a very short clock unless they have at least spend a turn casting removal. They play a swamp. Opponent goes to combat. No attacks. They pass. Shade of Trocaire comes off suspend. We draw Aven Riftwatcher. Play Plains. Go to combat. Attack for up to 10. They Abrupt Decay the Griffin Guide. Okay. This will allow them to trade with the Blade of the Sixth Pride. I'm going to pump once, because I'm going to play the Aven Riftwatcher this turn. Play Riftwatcher. Gain some life. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an island. Plays a Deathspore Thallid. And presumably a Gathan Raiders. We untap, Vanishing Trigger, we get another Plains. Play a Plains. Go to combat. Attack. No blocks. Yeah. I don't think I can miss out on this damage, really. Hit our opponent to 5. Pass the turn. Opponent gets a Spore counter on Deathspore Thallid. They play an Imperiosaur. They have 1 card left in hand. Riftwatcher goes down to 1. We draw Plains. So play a Plains. Go to combat. Attack. So we'll want to kill the Imperiosaur. Oh, we get to kill both if they have nothing. They can discard their last card to save their morph, potentially. Oh, no, that actually lets them trade, because they're hellbent. Okay. Well, both creatures were approximately the same value there. The only difference being Gathan Raiders is only a 5/5 as long as they keep their hand empty. So if they were attacking, they should have played out what was ever in their hand first. Unless, of course, it has no targets. So we're losing Aven Riftwatcher this turn. We gain 2 life, back up to 20. We draw another Plains. Play a Plains. Play Shade of Trocaire. Pass the turn. Thallid ticks up to 3. They play a land. They go to combat. Do nothing. We untap. We draw a Sunlance. It's super bad if they have an instant. But I think I'm still going to try it. Alright, it worked. Amazingly. Go to combat. We can force them to block with the Saproling. Okay, they make a Saproling token. Pump it once just to be safe. They sack the Saproling to give the Shade -1/-1. We do no damage. Alright, pass the turn. If that last card in their hand is a land, and they were sandbagging lands to make us think they had a combat trick, they should have been keeping their hand empty for Gathan Raiders. Because, like, we were able to Sunlance it because they had that card in hand. Order. That's enough. So they're casting Ichor Slick. Or they're not casting Ichor Slick. They're just cycling. Okay, so that was their last card in hand, and their intent was to cycle it away. But if they cycled, they would still have had a card in hand. They play another Morph. It's probably a Raiders. And they play a Seal of Primordium. Apparently because they're afraid of Gauntlet of Power, and rightfully so. Because Gauntlet of Power with these shades is probably crazy. We draw Castle Raptors. Go to combat. Porter, come here. Porter, come here. Come here. He's moping about something. Come here. I have to give him a little reassurance. Because I told him to stop licking his paws after 5 minutes of licking his paws. I think they're clean. Okay, opponent blocks with Death Spore Thallid. Pump once. Okay. So then we'll just play out the rest of our hand. I'm going to leave up 3 pumps on the Shade of Trocaire. Pass the turn. But we have 2 lethal creatures now. And we're still at 20 life. I was going to say, if they attack, there's no world we block. Alright, we untap. We draw an island. Go to combat. Attack, attack. Opponent has some trick here. Oh, another Ichor Slick. So they can use that to kill the Castle Raptors since it tapped. Alright. If they draw a card, I mean, they can flip their Morph if it's another Gathan Raiders, but we just pump. It was a Shaper Parasite. Alright, pass the turn. I'm not going to F6 because I might need to pump at instant speed. But it plays a Thallid Germinator. Can buy them a turn. Put a storage counter on Calciform Pools. We untap. We draw an Amro Scout. Go to combat. Attack with the Shade. We pump to kill the Germinator. And play an Amro Scout. Play an island. Pass the turn. Tutoring up our Aura doesn't make any sense because they can just Seal of Primordium to kill it, but opponent sacks an island without even tapping it for mana to cycle Edge of Autumn. And they scoop it up, giving us match 2. This deck seems pretty good. Shade of Trocaire, OP. I'll see you guys in round 3. Alrighty, round 3, and we will be on the draw. I think this hand is a mulligan. Just not enough going on. This technically is a keep. We have removal. We have a 2-mana or a 3-mana 2/2 with Intimidate. Opponent leads on island. We draw our Pacifism. Play a Plains, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Plains. We draw Castle Raptors. Pass. Opponent thinks twice. They untap. And suspend an Ivory Giant. Alright. We draw another Castle Raptors. Play Amro Seekers. Pass the turn. Ivory Giant ticking down. They play an island and pass. We draw a Riftmarked Knight. Go to combat. Attack for 2. Opponent's got no blockers. I actually think this might be worth suspending this game, so I'm going to do that. Pass the turn. Opponent flashes back, think twice. They untap Ivory Giant, tick it down to 3 time counters. Play an Aven Riftwatcher, they gain some life. Alright, we untap. Riftmarked Knight, ticking down. We draw our own Aven Riftwatcher, so play that. Gain some life. Pass the turn, no attacks. Okay. Vanishing trigger. Ivory Giant ticks down to 2. Opponent attacks for 2. We will block. Piracy Charm. They kill our Aven Riftwatcher. We gain 2 life. Opponent suspends Duskrider Peregrine. Okay, Riftmark Knight ticking down to 2. Play a land. Go to combat. Hit them for 2. Then we play a Castle Raptors. It's very bad if my opponent has a Mana Tithe. They have delay. Alright, so Castle Raptors is now suspended, despite not having suspend. Ivory Giant comes down next turn. Opponent goes to combat, hits us for 2. We go to 22. They play Stormfront Riders, picking up both of their creatures, making 2 1/1s. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. We untap, suspend trigger, suspend trigger. So now we get both of our Riftmark Knights, and we draw Shade of Trocaire. Go to combat, attack and attack. This has Vigilance and this has Flanking. I'm not sure why. Doesn't it say Vigilance? Why does the Knight have Vigilance but still tap to attack? Is that the wrong token? With Flanking, Protection from White, and Haste. So this should have Flanking, not Vigilance. Not sure why that's written that way. Play another Castle Raptors, pass the turn. So Dusk Rider Peregrine ticking down. Ivory Giant should come off suspend this turn. None of our creatures get tapped that aren't already tapped. Opponent plays Aven Riftwatcher again. Okay. We have to be careful with these auras because of the... shoot, what is it called? The other creature that I can't think of right now. The one that bounces their creatures. I'm going to temporarily isolate this morph creature so we can attack with the Knight at the least. So go to combat. I can attack for 3 in the air as well, but then I leave myself open on the swing back. I still think I do that because we are ahead on life. If my opponent wants to block, they can block. They'll lose their Riftwatcher and gain 2 life, and this would be a push on damage. Okay. Then we play Shade of Trocaire. Pass the turn. That's going to be our heavy hitter next turn. Opponent gets a Dusk Rider Peregrine, which has protection from black and is a flying 3/3. They play a land. I hope that Morph is not a Shaper Parasite, because that can kill our Black Knight. Opponent attacks us for a lot. We'll just take it. I wouldn't mind drawing Stonehorn Dignitary. That'd be awesome. Okay, opponent plays Stormfront Riders. Flips up the Suvan Shapeshifter into a Stormfront Riders. Oh, that's a pretty dirty combo. Because of the way this text is written, they can just make a ton of 1/1s. That's pretty grody. Okay, Castle Raptors coming off suspend. That means Shade of Trocaire will never get in for damage. We draw planes. Play the planes. Let me look up the Suvan Shapeshifter really quick. The one from Time Spiral. I think it's Vesuvan Doppelganger. No, Doppelganger is the old one, it's Shapeshifter. When it enters the battlefield or is turned face up. So they actually have a loop going on here. Okay, what I'm going to do is Bound in Silence. I don't want to Bind and Silence this, but I think I have to. Alright, go to combat. Attack with everybody. This Knight has flanking and it'll be fine. They can double block here. They can't block this at all. They can block Shade of Trocaire. And they can, yeah, they can double block this. That's fine. And they still take 8, go to 7. Yep, flanking. Kills that Knight. Alright, they go to 7. Alright, pass the turn. They have 12 damage on the board. I really hope that they don't have like a Glorious Anthem effect. Okay, opponent replays Aven Riftwatcher, which is a card I forgot about in all the chaos. They play Dreamstalker. They can pick up Stormfront Riders or Riftwatcher. They pick up Stormfront Riders, they get a Soldier out of the deal. They're going to hit us for 3 in the air, 3 on the ground, 5 on the ground. So total 8. This will take us to 6. Okay. We untap. We draw Amro Scout. So if we just swing out, they chump here, they block here or here, and they block here, they take 5. That's not acceptable. We can no longer get in with the Knight because they have a blue creature. Play Amro Scout. I think we're dead, but no way to know that for sure, I think. We'll just pass, we can't attack. I don't even know if we have any other rebels to tutor out with Amro Scout, because we already used Bound in Silence. Opponent has a Temporal Isolation. I'm pretty sure that means we're dead. They got too much value on their gating, replaying creatures, which is what white-blue is supposed to actually do, mind you. Not what ever jank I built, but... Alright, Stormfront Riders enters the battlefield. Opponent probably picks up... I was going to say Riftwatcher or Dreamstalker, but... They get some soldiers. They replay Riftwatcher. Gain some life. They pass the turn, we untap, we draw Sunlance. So... Pass. I was going to say we could attack with the Knight and then Sunlance the Dreamstalker, but that doesn't really accomplish anything, I don't think. Opponent plays Vesuvian Shapeshifter, copying Stormfront Riders, picking up more guys, making a ton more tokens. They play Sarah Avenger? That's pretty good. And Chromatic Star. Okay. I just don't think we have any way to get in to deal damage. I can get a Tapper and a Blade of the Sixth Pride. What's left in our deck? Gauntlet of Power to pump their whole team? We could do some shenanigans with, like, Stonehorn Dignitary, but there's actually no way out of this for us. So I'm going to concede without showing my opponent anything else. Okay, so we have to kill them before they hit critical mass. That's how this works out. Sunlance also probably not good versus the mono-white deck. The mono-white deck full of creatures, anyway. I might want Pongify just to stop the constant unsummoning. Like, if we can kill that creature, it will make a big difference. We can probably stop the, like, Vesuvian Shapeshifter loop. That's a very, very powerful thing. I'm going to cut 1 plains to add 1 more island, because I did just add 2 blue cards to my deck, and sometimes we've been having trouble with islands. I probably should cut Gauntlet of Power, honestly. Because it's going to pump their whole team, and I don't think it does that much to help us. Because, like, we name white with it, so... I'll play another Shade of Trocaire instead, and we'll try it like this. I think things look bleak, unless my opponent has a very slow hand and we just curve out. I would like to play first. Okay. Lavinia hates on all of their suspend shenanigans. That's actually a huge deal. And we get to play her on curve. So suspend Shade of Trocaire, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Plains. We untap. Shade of Trocaire ticking down. We get Momentary Blink. That's good with Flicker Wisp. Play Lavinia, pass the turn. Opponent plays an island. Passes. Shade ticking down to 1. We draw Aven Mind Sensor. Play Plains. Go to combat. Attack for 2. We're going to leave up Mind Sensor and Blink. Hit them to 18. Pass the turn. Because next turn we can Flicker Wisp our own land and set up for a Blink on end step, which I think is going to be a huge play. Okay, opponent plays an island into a Riftwatcher. Problem is, if I blink that Riftwatcher to get in for damage, they gain like 5 life, or 4 life, and then they'll gain 4 life again. So we untap. Shade coming off Suspend. We draw Amros Seekers. Play a Plains. Go to combat. Attack with the Shade. No blocks. So, play Flicker Wisp. Blink a Plains. Go to our end step, get the Plains back. Momentary Blink Flicker Wisp. Take their Plains from them. Pass the turn. We're denying them a mana this turn. Okay, they get their Plains back. We untap. Draw Plains. Play Plains. Go to combat. Attack here. Opponent does block. Pump. And pump. Opponent repeals their own Riftwatcher. Oh, yeah, this is not Getic Teague. It doesn't stop things with X and the mana cost from being played. I could blink. No, I can't. I don't have enough mana. Never mind. Gonna gain some life. We do no damage. Play Amros Seekers. Pass the turn. Opponent replays Riftwatcher. We untap. Draw Amros Scout. Go to combat. Swing with everybody. They block Lavinia. So we'll just blink her to save her. Yeah, they needed like a judge unworthy there if they wanted to actually kill her. Get in for a bunch. They go down to 14. This may not actually matter, considering the fact that my opponent probably just has like another unsummoned loop. Cryptic Annelid. Scry 1, Scry 2, then Scry 3. Alright, opponent passes. We untap. We draw Griffin Guide. So, Griffin Guide Lavinia. Opponent delays the Griffin Guide. So, go to combat. Attack here, here, and here. Opponent can block the Shade with the Cryptic Annelid, and they can trade the Rift Watcher off if they want. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot they could do that. So opponent takes 3. We lose our Intimidate. Play Omro Scout. We can at least tutor up the Pacifism now. Next turn. Opponent attacks us for 2. We go to 18. They play a Salt Crested Steppe, so they do have a storage land. Stormfront Riders. They pick up their other cards. And they get some tokens. We untap. Griffin Guide on suspend. We draw. Rift Marked Knight. Alright. Activate Omro Scout because it's probably not attacking. We'll get a Bound in Silence so that we can still swing this turn. Go to combat. I think I'm fine losing Lavinia now. Because they have enough lands they can cast any non-creature spells. There's no reason for them to suspend at this point. So if they want to trade both soldiers for that, I'm okay with that. Oh no! And they can just return the soldiers to get more soldiers. So they can actually block here. That's bad. That's really bad. I don't know why I didn't think about my opponent having a momentary blink. If I could play it, they could play it too. So they kill the 2-1, they kill Lavinia. We get to pump the Shade. So they're taking 5 here. They're going to 8. Okay. They replay Rift Watcher, gain a bunch of life. If they play... I was going to say, if they have the stupid clone, I'm probably going to concede because I just can't beat that level of value. Opponent attacks us for 4. Okay. Take 4, go to 14. We untap. Griffin Guide taken down to 1. We draw Plains. Play a Plains. Go to combat. I am going to offer the trade with the Rift Watcher here. Okay. Pump, pump, pump. Kill the Cryptic Annelid. They take 3. Just going to cast a Rift Marked Knight. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Vanishing Trigger. Opponent attacks us for 6. We take 6. Please no Stormfront Rider number 2. Oh my god, they have 3 because they have a stupid clone effect too. So my opponent gains a bunch of life and gets 4 soldiers. That's pretty good. They play a land and they Piracy Charm Omro Scout. We untap. Griffin Guide coming off suspend. I'm going to put Griffin Guide on the Shade, I think, just to make that really threatening. We draw Plains, play it out, go to combat, and swing with the team. An opponent has to block the Shade, otherwise they die. Or they have to have removal for it. Okay. So flanking kills the token. Pump here once. Kill the Stormfront Riders, deal 3 to our opponent. Pass the turn. Yeah, they had 8 on the swing back if we didn't force that block, so I'm glad I put Griffin Guide where I did. Opponent plays a Rift Watcher, gains 2 life. They have a Bounded Silence. Okay, they attack us for 3. Next turn they've got us for 5, unless we can somehow attack for lethal again. We untap. We draw Temporal Isolation. So temporally isolate this. Go to combat. Attack them for 5. The problem is they have another Stormfront Riders in their hand, so they're just going to make another wider board. And unless we draw removal for that Stormfront Riders, we have no way of getting in with Flicker Wisp. So we need to draw Pongify, we need to draw our Bound in Silence, we need to... Or actually, I used my Bound in Silence, so we basically are just drawing Pongify or dying. And they hit us down to 2. Oh, you know what? They have enough mana to replay even Rift Watcher after the fact, so we're just dead. Yep. Tons of soldiers. They gain more life. They didn't replay it, interestingly enough. But Errant Doomsayers is not going to be enough. We needed that Shade of Trocaire to not be arrested. So opponent gets us, we go 2-1. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And been having a lot of fun with these. I don't know if I'm going to do too many more. I know these aren't the most popular on the channel, but I really enjoy playing them, so I'm going to keep uploading them for as long as I do. But I understand there's an upper limit. Kind of sad we didn't get the Stonehorn Dignitary at literally any point during that league, because we could have done some really crazy shenanigans with it, but we did have some good momentary blinks on Flicker Wisps, so that was a lot of fun. Definitely should have taken a Stormfront Riders. I thought I saw that card during the draft. I completely underrated it and did not pick it, so... Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. I already went through that spiel. You're all wonderful human beings, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!